Okay, I apologize, students. I ran a little long. I told you 10 minutes, but just a few minutes longer, and we'll be all set. All right, so listen to this podcast also. This is only going to be another couple minutes. We left off. We're just finishing up with biological species. Okay, so I mentioned tigers and lions. Okay, here's your embedded question. All right, so I know you did this for Monday. Mules. What's the story with mules? And where do they fit into this conceptual idea of the three different species definitions? Okay. Again, though, even with the biological species definition, we run into some problems. What about asexual reproduction? Okay. Organisms that reproduce without the need of a mate. What about hybrids? There are no simple definitions. There's no simple definitive answer to the question of how do we define a species. But I've given you, I hope, a lot of food for thought. So here's an idea of some questions to be come with, prepared to be able to answer in class on Monday. Why do biologists need to know what a species is? So what's the point of all this talk of defining a species? And why do they need to be able to distinguish one organism from another? And your lab's going to be involved with, you're going to be doing a lab involving dichotomous keys. All right? What the heck, since I started recording, and this is just for fun, one more example, okay? Here we go. Okay. This is a white perch. All right. This is a striped bass. This is an andromous or anadromous species of fish. They swim up the Hudson River and a number of other river systems along the eastern coast to spawn. And they spend then in the summertime, and they spend the majority of their life cycle out in the Atlantic Ocean. A white perch is a strictly freshwater species, although they do live in brackish or estuarine water systems, that is, systems that are flushed with salt water due to tides. The two are clearly what biologists would call different species. Alright, but there's a problem. The two of these two things can spawn. They can reproduce with one another to produce something called a wiper. Alright, that's this guy right here. I know about these things as having worked as a Hudson River fisheries technician, so we used to catch them in our nets from time to time. And they blur the lines of what is a species because they're a hybrid. Here's a true striped bass, and here's the product of a white perch and a striped bass. That's the offspring that you get. Striped bass, a wiper, and a white perch. Here's some morphological characteristics that mentions here. Remember I talked about morphology before. Back of tongue has two tooth patches. Back of tongue has two tooth patches also. Back of tongue has one tooth patch. Again, remember the white perch is much smaller, seldom exceeds 3 pounds, whereas it's common for a striped bass to exceed 20 pounds, and the wiper's somewhere in between. So this is curious. These two things do breed with one another, and not because man has intervened, like with dogs, for instance, or the tiger and the lion. So, where do you stand, junior biologists? Do you think that perch and bass should be considered different species? I will tell you they have different Latin names. Or are they the same species since they can hybridize and produce wipers? All right, and I think you've had more than enough podcasts for homework, so Mr. Burns signing off, and see you in class on Monday. Thanks, Paul. If you listen to this, this was fun acting. And all right, take care.